Hey everybody, and welcome back to Mondays with Matt. If you're watching on YouTube, so happy to have you here on my YouTube channel. Take a second, hit the little bell, subscribe to my channel. I'm uploading new exclusive content to YouTube all the time. For those of you who don't know, my name is Matt Schaefer. I am a coach for women around empowerment, connection, relationship. I'm obsessed with serving women, and I have clients all over the world. I love my work. And this is my show, Mondays with Matt. This is my weekly show on personal development, transformation, emotional intelligence, leadership, relationships, love, connection, basically anything that's coming up for me in my life or that I'm learning about. I want to share it with you on this show. It's so exciting to have you all here for Mondays with Matt, because today's topic is something that's going to be really interesting, right? This is the topic of the power of feeling unconditionally. The power of feeling unconditionally. So I'd love for you guys to sort of, as I always do with these topics, right? I always kind of start off by throwing it out to you and asking what your thoughts are on this topic. So think about this. So when I say that there's power in feeling unconditionally, what do you think I mean by that? What do you think it means for me to say that there's power in feeling unconditionally? Because the opposite of that would be, right, that there's a lack of power, or that there's a disempowerment from feeling conditionally. Do you see what I'm saying there? Because think about this. I am a coach. I'm a coach for women, and I'm coaching women around relationship and empowerment and connection, okay? So I'm talking about feelings, and I'm working in feelings all day, all right, with women. And so what I come up with a lot, and I'm sure a lot of y'all can relate to this, human beings in general, and this is not just a problem or an issue for women, we have a tendency to feel conditionally. Right? We have a tendency to feel conditionally, meaning that the way that we feel is tied to a circumstance. It's tied to a person. It's tied to an outcome. Do you see what I'm saying? How often in your life have you felt a certain way and those feelings have been tied to how another person's treating you? Or a or the outcome of a situation, right? One of the most ultimate examples, I think, of feeling conditionally is being outcome dependent on a situation, right? Well, so if this person, I'm going to love this person under the condition that they love me back. I'm going to feel good about myself on the condition that everything is feeling good in my life. I think so many of us, we tie our feelings to the outcomes of things we're experiencing, right? Our relationships, our career stuff, our money situation. And when we do that, we're operating from an incredibly disempowered state. Can you guys see that? Can you see that when we say, I'm going to feel X as long as I experience Y, we're operating from a completely disempowered, ungrounded space, right? We cannot make our feelings, we cannot make our ways of being conditional on an outcome. We can't, because if we do that, we're operating from a very, there's a specific sequence of words, and this is very deep conditioning that most people have, okay? It's the conditioning of do, have, be. Do, have, be, when we're operating from our conditioned space, okay? And that means we have a belief that if we're going to do things so we can have stuff, so we can be a certain way. Right? So I'm gonna do a job that I don't like so I can have all the money that I want so that I can be happy. I'm gonna do something so I can have something, and then having that stuff is gonna make me feel a certain way. If you think about it, that's what it means to feel conditionally. But how many people did you know? But the formula doesn't work, does it? Because how many people do you know, or how many times have you experienced this, where you do all the stuff so you do all the actions, right? So you can get the stuff, and then once you get the stuff, the whole expectation is, right, that then you're going to feel a certain way. You're going to be happy. But are you actually happy once you finally get the stuff? Does the stuff actually make you happy? No, it doesn't. The whole premise of do, have, be is backwards, and it's disempowered. It's giving your power away fundamentally. In what areas of your life do you feel conditionally? Do you say, well, I'm going to love you on the condition that you love me back? Right? How many times in your life do you do, have, be? This is a very deep conditioning that most people operate from, right? And I think that it really gets to change, because what's important is we get to shift it all around. We get to shift do, have, be, and we get to flip it around, okay? Because here's the thing. I guess we get to operate from a space of being. We get to operate be, do, have. Okay? Be, do, have. Mikkel knows what I'm talking about. Mikkel is one of my amazing clients. How you doing, Mikkel? Good to see you. Kate gets it. Kate gets what I'm talking about. This is what the example is. This is feeling unconditionally. Our feelings and the way we choose to feel and the way we choose to be in the world cannot be conditional upon anything outside of us. We get to choose the way that we be. We get to choose the way that we show up in the world. We get to choose the way that we feel about our lives, the way that we feel about ourselves. We get to feel unconditionally great about who we are. We get to choose to feel perfect about our lives. Where you are right now, wherever you are in your life is perfect. We get to be. We get to choose how we choose to be. You get to choose to be happy right now in exactly where you are, unconditionally, untied to any circumstance or any relationship or any person or anything outside of who you are. Are you with me? Give me a 1 if you're with me here. We get to stand unconditionally in our being happy, being complete, being whole. You are enough just the way you are if you say so, if you choose to be. Right? And when you operate from that space of being enough, from feeling unconditionally, joyfully complete, right? Then you do things in alignment with that. You be, do, have, right? You be complete, you be who you are, then you do things that are in alignment with that completeness, with that joy, with that fulfillment, with that enoughness that you embody all the time. And then guess what? When you be complete and then you act in a complete, joyful way, guess what happens? You have whatever the hell you want. You want to be loved? Love yourself unconditionally first. You want to be abundant? You want to have abundance financially, as spiritually, in any way? Choose to feel abundant. Choose to be abundant in your ways of being first. And then operate in alignment with that way of being. And guess what? All the things you've ever wanted to have will come to you as a byproduct of that. Can you see where I'm saying, guys? Give me a 1 if you can relate to this. And if this is resonating with you guys, please share this video. Let's get this out there in the world, because I am tired of living in a do, have, be world. I am tired of people like mistakenly just working their butts off their whole life, beating themselves over the head of why don't I feel happy? Why do I have to feel happy? Why do I feel happy? Why am I not feeling happy? Because I am living a conditional life. I am feeling conditionally. Your limitless power to have the life that you want, to have the love that you want, to have the relationship that you want, to have the life that you've dreamed of, it all resides in your choice to choose happiness, to choose to be enough. That is where your power resides, 100%. It's about flipping the script. So in my own life, when did I realize this? When did I realize that me working to become enough was never going to be enough, right? So here's what I did. I spent 10 years and $250,000 trying to do my way into happiness, right? I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. All I knew was I felt like I wasn't worth anything. I had a deep sense of self-loathing, a deep feeling that I wasn't enough. And so I went to law school, became a lawyer, hated it, owned a restaurant for 5.5 years, hated it. And before I knew it, I was ODing on Oxycontin, and just to numb myself out from the pain of my own life and from the frustration of the fact that I had literally broken my body and my mind and my bank account trying to fill this void inside of me with stuff and with accomplishments and career. And at the end of the day, I was left broken and empty and so mad at myself. Right? And it was at that point I literally woke up not breathing in my sleep for the 3rd time, and I realized, you know what? do, have, be, I did everything I could possibly do. And I had everything that I could have possibly earned, in that space. And at the end of the day, I was miserable and I was broken. And I realized that if I kept on this do, have, be path, that I was going to die. If I kept feeling conditionally, if I kept telling myself that I'm never going to be happy unless I make it, that I'm never going to be fulfilled unless I've accomplished a bunch of stuff, if I kept living in that space, I was going to die in that space. I was going to die on that hamster wheel. Miserable, right? And there's so many people out there that do die on that hamster wheel. And I made a choice the third time I woke up in my sleep not breathing from the drugs I had taken to numbing out for the pain of my life, that I wasn't going to be a victim of I wasn't going to die for this belief system. I had to change. I had to find a different way. Can any of you relate to that when you hit like that rock bottom and you realize, you know what? This rock bottom that I've hit is actually a really good platform for me to leap in another direction. Can you relate to that? Because that is where I got to. The biggest battle you will ever have is the battle with yourself. And the battle with yourself to teach yourself and to train yourself and to convince yourself that you're enough. Right? So after I made that decision, after I hit rock bottom, right? And I realized it was either figure out another way to live my life or die, because do, have, be was never going to get it for me. I decided to face my pain. I decided to face my unworthiness. And I decided to face my own sense of self-loathing and look at why the hell I thought I was such a failure. And I looked at my worthiness and I looked at the basis of it, and layer by layer I let go of all of these stories, that all this conditioning that I had pounded in my head, that in order for my life to matter I needed to make $1 million, or in order for my life to matter I had to have a family, or in order for me to be worth anything or to love myself that I had to accomplish X, Y, and Z and check all these boxes. I let go of all of that shit. And I chose, after I had released all the layers of all of this stuff, I made a choice. I made a choice that where I was perfect. And however my life grew and evolved moving forward was perfect. And that I was just going to choose to love myself. Love exactly who I am. Love my failures. Love my past. Love who I am, and see what my life looked like if I just chose to love myself and operate from that space. And that's the decision that I made. I made that decision consciously. And when I started doing that, when I started operating from a space of being where I loved myself unconditionally first, and then I started doing out in the world from that unconditional space, do you realize what happened? I decided when I started loving myself that I wanted to teach others how to love themselves too. And so that's what I started doing from that space. I started sharing that love. I started sharing that light that I had felt, that freedom that I felt. I decided that I wanted to spend the rest of my life sharing that with other people. So I started doing things in alignment with that. So the actions that I took out in the world were in alignment with my being of loving myself unconditionally and wanting to teach others to do that. And as I started to do that, I started to have all the things that I wanted. I started to have the friends that I wanted. I started to date the women that I wanted. I started to have the life that I wanted. I started to make the money that I wanted. And it just kept getting better. Everything kept building off itself because it was all grounded in my deeply held belief that I am worth it, that I am lovable simply for being who I am. And now I'm blessed to work with women, to work with clients all over the world, to help them understand and connect with that same beautiful power. And every single one of you watching here today, you are enough, you are worthy, and you are worthy of being loved unconditionally by you right now. You get to feel unconditionally accepting of who you are right now. This is what we get to do. What is it? American History X, right? Life is too short to be pissed off all the time. American History X. Life is too short to be pissed off all the time. Life is too short to spend your life hating yourself. How the hell do you expect anybody else to love you if you hate yourself? How do you expect anybody else to care about you? How do you expect anybody else to celebrate you? How do you expect anyone else to love you unconditionally if you can't love yourself unconditionally? And how can you, and here's the thing, this is another huge thing. If you want to create something big in your life and you don't have it yet, right? Can you understand that you'll never have it if you if you say, I'll be happy when I have $1 million, but you're miserable now until you have that $1 million? Do you think your misery is helping you achieve and create that $1 million? Like, can you love that $1 million without having it? Or does your feeling of being excited about that $1 million tied to getting that $1 million? Can you love your soulmate that you haven't attracted yet if you're lonely and bitter and angry about the fact that you don't have them? Do you think that loneliness and that bitterness and that anger and that resentment and that beat up that you're feeling to the fact that you haven't found your partner? Do you think that that bitterness and anger and self-loathing you're feeling about it, do you think it's helping you find him? Do you think it's helping draw him to you? Do you think that you're magnetizing your dream partner by beating up on yourself for the fact that you haven't found him? Or can you feel, that is feeling conditional. If you're saying, I'll be happy and in love with this partner once I find him, your feelings are being conditional. Your feelings are tied to that physical act of finding him. You're operating from the fact that once I do it and have it, right? Once I have that man, then I'm gonna be happy. That isn't the way it works. We get to be in love with ourselves. We get to be unconditionally feeling love towards that person before we find them. Do you see what I'm saying here? Are you guys with me? We get to step into feeling unconditionally delighted and excited and inspired about where we're going, about what's happening in our lives, about what we're creating, about what we're achieving. There's no point for you to be in beat up, for you to be enraged, for you to be disempowered, and for you to be constantly being like, well, I'm pissed off and I'm bitter and I'm weak. I feel weak and powerless and disempowered now. But once I find these things and once I finally have them, then I'm gonna feel better. That isn't where your power is. Your power is in feeling unconditionally. Your power is in being able to delight in the partner that you haven't met yet, to be able to revel in the abundance of the money that is not in your bank account yet. If you can feel the joy of what it would feel like to have that without actually having it, now you're stepping into feeling unconditionally. And feeling unconditionally is where we create. It's where we can create. It's where we actually magnetize those things to us, right? Because we're operating from that space of joy, truly. When we choose to operate from misery and from disempowerment and from isolation and from feeling conditionally, we are going to surround ourselves with other people who also adopt that same philosophy. We're going to create that crab in the bucket scenario, right? Where we all hold each other in that space. So important. And again, this all starts with you loving and you feeling unconditionally. Your feelings of love for yourself, your feelings of love for those in your life, like if we love others conditionally, are we loving them in a deep, empowered space? No. If you only love somebody for the fact that they're going to love you back, you're not loving them in a deep way. You're not loving them in a way that makes them feel safe. Right? That's when love becomes transactional. That's when love becomes inauthentic. Conditional love isn't really love. It's not. It's selfish. Whenever we're feeling conditionally, we're being selfish. We're giving our power away. We're operating from a disempowered space. So I'm going to invite you, if you want the life of your dreams, if you want the relationship that you've always craved, right? That deep soulmate partnership. It all starts with you choosing to feel joy, to feel excitement, to feel ignited by the prospect of having these things, not by the physical act of possessing them, right? That's where we get to be. Because if you spend your entire life, right, just preoccupied on the goal that you're trying to hit, but not enjoying the process of getting to it, you're going to be spending most of your life miserable. You're going to be spending most of your life frustrated. Do you see what I'm saying? Most of your life is going to be spent striving towards goals. The moment of you hitting a goal is just momentary. So learn to enjoy the process. Learn to delight in the creative process. Not just the creation point, not just the end result, but the actual act of creating gets to be an exciting, exhilarating, joyful process. We came here to be creators, right? We came here to be creators, and we get to have love and excitement for the creative process, not just for the product. We're not just an assembly line pumping out things. We're like a painter, right? We're a painter painting the masterpiece of our life. And painters don't just get joy out of the finished product. Painters get joy out of the process of creating. So you are a painter. This life is your masterpiece. Can you enjoy the process of creating it? Or do you only want to be able to appreciate it when you're dead and it's over and you have the whole canvas painted? I personally want to enjoy my life as a beautiful creative process. I want every day to be a beautiful creative process so I can enjoy it while it's happening. Because that's the magic of life. The magic of life is in the creative process and feeling unconditionally joyful about that process. Not just being like, well, I'll be happy once I get to the end of the day, once I leave work, once I'm drunk at 5 o'clock. People who work for the weekends are feeling conditionally. People who suffer all week just so they can have a little window of relaxation when they get hammered, you know, are really people who are feeling and they're living conditionally. And it's fucking tragic. It's tragic to live that way, right? It's tough to know and understand why you didn't attract something into your life, right? But a lot of times it comes down to the fact that on some level, your energy wasn't in alignment with that result. Your energy, for whatever reason, there was a misalignment, you know? Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, our beliefs always win. Our beliefs always win. So you can think, I want to go to that retreat. I would really love to go to that retreat. But if at some level you don't believe that you're worthy of going to the retreat, if you've got a deeper held belief, your beliefs will always overcome and overtake your conscious desires, right? Beliefs trump desires, which is why it's so important for you to get to the bottom of your beliefs, get to the bottom of your deeply held feelings, and learn to feel unconditionally. Because a lot of the times when you say, I'm only going to love somebody if they love me back, you have a deeply held belief underneath that you have to earn the right to be loved, that love is a transaction, that you're not worthy of love, so you're going to love somebody so that they'll love you back. Because that's that deeply held belief underneath it. So when you're feeling conditionally, a lot of times you're feeling conditionally because you've got a deep core underlying belief that's leading you to feel that way. What you think of and what you feel, you will attract into your life. I guarantee you, this life can be an incredibly joyful, creative paradise, or it can be an absolute flaming dumpster fire. That is the power that you have by how you choose to feel. And when you choose to feel unconditionally, your feelings become this rocket-propelled tiller navigating you into an incredibly beautiful, dynamic reality. Or you can allow your feelings and your insecurities and your fear and your unworthiness to propel you down into the abyss. The choice is yours, and it is a choice that you get to make every day, every minute of every day. Am I feeling conditional right now? Have I given my power away? So the max challenge for this week, guys, is for you to look at your life, look at your relationships, look at the way that you feel about different areas of your life, and ask yourself, am I feeling conditionally right now? Am I feeling conditional? Am I only loving this person because they love me back? Am I only doing this job because it gives me some money, which then, makes me feel okay or gives me a little sense of safety, right? Am I feeling, is everything I'm doing transactional? Am I only doing the things, am I operating from a space of do, have, be? Am I just doing stuff so that I can get a bunch of stuff so I can feel a certain way? because that is not a sustainable model to live your life. We get to choose our ways of being, and we get to choose the way that we feel unconditionally based upon what it is that we want to create, who we intend to become, and who we know that we are. That is an empowered, grounded, profound space to live your life. That is when you're operating from a deep understanding that within you exists the power to create fucking worlds and the power to have whatever you want, because your life isn't about having stuff, and your life isn't about doing stuff. Your life is about being your highest possibility. Your life is about embodying the greatest expression of the divinity that you are right now. And if you're feeling self-doubt, if you're feeling weak, if you're feeling powerless, it's just because you've forgotten that you're a fucking god. That you are pure, creative, like divinity, just temporarily in this physical form, right? That is who you are. That is what you are. That is what you've always been, and that is what you will always be. It's point blank. I am your reminder. I am your reminder. And if you can feel unconditionally, if you can believe unconditionally that that is who you are and that is what you are and that is what you're worthy of, and just exist and reside in that unconditional feeling space, watch the world bend and watch the universe conspire to deliver to you exactly what it is that you want, exactly what it is that you're worthy of. But it all starts with you taking conditionality and throwing it out the fucking window. Give me a 1 if you're with me. Give me a 1 if you're with me. Give me a 1 if you're willing to look at your life. Look at where you're living conditionally. Look at where you're feeling conditionally and say, no more. No mas. People need to know. People need to understand. People need to remember that they're worthy of having the life that they want purely by virtue of the fact that they're here. And they get to feel unconditionally good about themselves and about the people around them and about the life that they have and about the moment that they're living in. Because wherever you are, whoever you are, and whatever situation you're in right now is perfect. It's perfect. It may not feel perfect to you right now, but it is. And you get to feel unconditionally grateful and good and blissful and joyful about the life that you have created to yourself and for yourself right now. That is it. I appreciate you all for watching Mondays with Matt. It took me a while to figure out what I was going to talk about this week because I was a little blocked, but I'm so glad that I chose to talk about this, right? Because this has lit me up, and I hope it's lit you up too. Thank you for joining me on this show, and guys, if you're watching on YouTube, take a second, hit the subscribe button, and for all you Facebookers, go over to my YouTube channel, sign up over there. I love the tribe I'm building. They are amazing. And thank you for showing up for Mondays with Matt, and I will see y'all next week as per usual. So lots of love to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.